Tell him about the time we faced.
All right. Well, as I remember.
At Avenger headquarters.
Because united, the Avengers are strong.
Welcome to the Marvel Evolution Show with myself, Andy Stead.
And I'm Jarian Gibson.
And I'm Alex Stroud.
And it's been forever since we've recorded, guys. Like a whole 10 minutes. So for those of you listening pre-recorded, if you're catching up, we are literally straight off the back of our last episode. For those of you listening live, welcome back. Hopefully you've had a chance to go and have yourselves a drinks break or a snack or a toilet break, whatever you needed to do. So last episode we chatted about She-Hulk. We got up to date with that. We spoke about episode 3 and episode 4. Obviously lots has happened in this weekend with D23 taking place, the Disney Expo. Some news there that was released. We're going to go through some of that in a moment. And obviously, because we didn't record last weekend, because life gets in the way every now and again, we've got quite a bit of news to get through. As Jarian's just said before we come live on air, which was quite funny, we've got loads of news, and then some of it is going to be completely blown out of the water by what happened to D23. So we won't dwell too much on some of the news. But however, we will go through it. And as always, anybody that's listening live, please comment wherever you're from, whatever place that you're listening to us from. Remember, we can't always see your name. So if you want to attach a certain comment to yourself, remember, just put a little signature down there and we'll get those read out live on the show. So Jarian, this is all you. You're our new Supremo. And before I start, actually, what you did yesterday was like, it was brilliant. Like just going on D23 and I just get pinging information on D23. I was loving it. I was just sitting there thinking, great, what's next? And then I was sort of really jealous at one point. I was like, is he watching this? Because I really want to watch it as well, But that was great. So well done. Thank you for that. But yeah, this is all you. So over to you, my friend.
Yeah, no, thank you. I was definitely the man in the chair yesterday, trying to watch different Twitch streams, different TikTok streams, and people were getting shut down for watching some of the exclusive clips at D23. So between that and following social media, it was fun. Sometimes I'm able to get on some of the Zooms by some of the people who do a lot of the news that I pull from, but there were none yesterday. And before I get started too, we have been having more and more people watch via Twitter. We can't see the chats on here via Twitter. So if you want to chat, I'm not watching Twitter today, hopefully in the future, but come over to Twitch, YouTube, or one of the Facebook places that we stream. With that being said, let's get it on. So Fantastic Four, which there was no cast announcing at D23, which I was wrong about that. But there was a rumor about Penn Badgley, mostly known for Gossip Girl and You, that he is in talks to play Mr. Fantastic Reed Richards, but that was later backtracked on. I have no idea. I even saw Krasinski's name floating around again. Yeah, right now, with Shackman being the director, which that was officially announced at D23. Him being the director, I'm sure they're going to be working on casting now that they have a director in place. There also has been some names floating around for Sue Storm. Among those names, Lily James from Pam and Tommy, Amanda Seyfried from Les Miserables. I can't even talk today. She also was in, she was in Les Mis. Yeah, she was also in Mamma Mia and Mean Girls and all kinds of other stuff. Philippa Sue from Hamilton. Jodie Comer, who got all the buzz between D23 as being the actual cast. She was in Free Guy in that movie with Ryan Reynolds. Saoirse Ronan from Little Women, and Vanessa Kirby from Mission Impossible Fallout. Again, there were no announcements for the Fantastic Four cast at D23, so we have no idea who's playing what, so I'm sure those rumors will keep going as usual. Another piece of news here is that Marvel has an official timeline keeper for the MCU. So Jessica Gao of She-Hulk has come out and said it's definitely after post-game. There actually is a Marvel person whose job is to trace the timeline of everything, and we checked with him about a lot of where timing is, and so it's like the show is a few years after Endgame when it comes to She-Hulk. And with the multiverse and everything, jumping around, I think it's a good idea that they have an official timekeeper.
Yeah, agreed. Do you know what? I want to see him get really, really specific though. Like, that's what I want to. I want to see him almost date what's
Yep.
going on. Like actually, like give us a date at the bottom of
But-
the screen. Like, what's the actual day and time of what's going on?
That has bitten them though in the past. Remember Spider-Man: Homecoming 5 years later, or whatever they had on there.
Yeah,
So that has come back to bite them when they do that. So they gotta be careful if they come out and say specific dates.
yeah. No, I think actually though it does make sense having a person or a department or something be actually. It's what's the word I'm looking for? It's not quality control, is it? It's like due
Canon control.
adding control. I like it. But yeah, no, it is a little bit like that, isn't it? It's just somebody double checking. If somebody says, we want to do this and we want to put this scene next to that scene, is that going to work on the time? They're going to have to refer to the timekeepers almost. Please let it be free, guys. Sitting with big robes on. Great.
Disney Latino is teasing Kate Bishop's return. The young Marvel hero is part of the list of 5 Marvel superheroes you have to know before seeing Phase 5 of the MCU, from what the website says. And it's interesting to say, too, that in her profile they put out there, Kate Bishop, a character played by actress Haley Steinfeld, was introduced to the public in the Hawkeye series and is one of the members of the Young Avengers in the comics. An admirer of Clint Barton Hawkeye, the young woman decides to follow in his footsteps. Besides being an archer, Kay is also an excellent fighter with knowledge of different martial arts, as well as being an excellent fencer. They also listed most important characters of Phase 5 that included Bishop. The others were Maya Lopez, Miss Marvel, Daredevil, and Ironheart. So,
But so I'll tell you what is interesting about this. So those other ones all make sense because they've all got their own projects coming out. Yeah. Kate Bishop doesn't. So I wonder where she's going to pop up.
I mean, anywhere from Quantumania to recruiting somebody else to...
Which says a lot about her character, doesn't it? Because, like I say, the others have got their own show. Like, well, what do you expect? They're gonna show up, but they're gonna bring her back. So that's really cool. I like her. They're good for Haley Steinfeld, really, and good for the character because I really enjoyed her in Hawkeye. I mean, I really enjoyed Hawkeye, as you guys know, but I thought she was great. So good. Glad to see more of her.
Yeah, and she could cameo in Echo. She also could possibly team up with Daredevil. So there's plenty of ways to bring her back into the fold with what we know, but hopefully we'll find out more. There is a Thunderbolts rumor, which we'll talk about more in the D23 announcements, but there's a rumor that Anthony Ramos replies his role as the Hood in Thunderbolts. And I've seen some crazy Thunderbolts lineups, and there was one that I don't think anyone had when we get to that, and we'll talk about that for D23 announcements. Wonder Man, which was not discussed at D23. Ben Kingsley replies his role as Trevor Slattery in the upcoming Destin Daniel Cretton Wonder Man series for Disney Plus. There was also a comment about Evan Peters, the witness protection person Agent 1 was talking about. Is he Eric Williams' Grim Reaper? There's been some chat around that, and that's why I said last episode that Ralph Boner comments might not be a throwaway, that there might be something there. And we did see the Grim Reaper hashtag or Easter egg in WandaVision as well when they were doing like the digging down the soil stuff. We saw the helmet, I believe, of Grim Reaper. So
Yes.
yeah.
Right. Just on that note there, Jaren, just before you carry on, there's a lot of speculation around what was going to happen at D23 and then what actually didn't happen at D23. And I brought it up on the group yesterday. Because I saw a I don't know, news, quote unquote news, saying about they're going to release all these casts and they're going to do this and they're going to do that. This site put up breaking news. Henry Cavill, Jodie Comer,
Denzel Washington, John Boyega, Esposito.
Yeah, they're all going to be revealed at D23, and it's like, oh, what a surprise! They weren't, And I think this kind of these clickbaity type sort of posts are becoming more and more common now, just purely to get, even if people, I was having a conversation with Mike Sullivan saying, do you know what, I've clicked on some of them just because I'm so angry that it's not going to come true. Like, I know this isn't going to come true. I'm going to click on it and go on there and tell you this is a load of rubbish. But I think just, what we try and do, and what Jaren was just saying at the top of this episode, that he scours places for news, for quality news. But what we certainly do try and do all the time, whether it's here on the show, whether it's on our page, whether it's on our group, anywhere, we always make it very clear whether what we're saying is actual news, whether it's a fact, whether it's an opinion, whether it's somebody just having a guess, or whether it's just this would be fun, we make it very clear what we're actually saying. That's all I wanted to say. Sorry, I'll get off my horse now.
No, that's fine. And that's also why when I post the news or I post things, I only post from certain sources because, a lot of times out there, I've seen post about Henry Cavill being Hyperion, which is in the news here. I have, but yeah, that's why I only post certain things on the page of people that I know from trusted more sources, because they don't just throw stuff out there to get the clicks and get all the traffic. They put stuff out there that actually is something that they've checked and crossed and followed up on. So
wicked.
We have some news about some second seasons. So Loki season 2 will be TV 14. What If season 2 will also be TV 14. And then Michael Waldron did talk about Wanda's return. So Wanda Maximoff's return after Multiverse of Madness. He basically said in an interview, she's removing herself from the board for now, kind of a question mark forever. We'll see. I like to see her again. And so with the way the Multiverse of Madness ended and how she just kind of the tomb type thing, she could be anywhere. I know Alex has a good theory about her, where she could have gone. But yeah, I don't think we've seen the last of her.
Alex, is your theory the Latveria theory?
I honestly don't know which theory was it.
I thought it was like the Kang one.
The Kang, the Kang one, the one about, because I know I've talked with people about her potentially getting tied up with Doom. I've heard.
While you're thinking of your Kang theory,
mm-hmm.
I don't know whether this is your theory, my theory. I don't know whose theory this is. This is a theory, but the other theory is that Wundagore is near Latveria,
Mm-hmm.
and that Doom finds Wanda and she's got amnesia and she doesn't know who she is, and Doom sort of realizes she knows who it is, and he
manipulates her.
Thank you, good words. Yep, manipulates her into sort of doing his bidding, and that's where she is. And I was also thinking maybe are we going to see Molecule Man for Secret Wars or not? Is it? I mean, I know it's a long way away, but it's only a couple of years away. Do we really need to be introduced to this character now, really? So are they going to use Wanda maybe in replace of Molecule Man? Will she have the power to recreate, to combine universes maybe? So that was kind of my thought. And there is a Young Avengers storyline where the Children's Crusade, where she's that's exactly what's happened. So they could, and again, we've seen that multiple times before where they've molded two or three stories together.
And what if they make what if we find out that America Chavez's parents aren't dead and she's actually a Beyonder, and her parents end up being the Beyonders in the MCU?
Mm-hmm.
Because the way her character is, and she's described that she's no dreams, she's only one of her. She could be born outside of the main universe and be a Beyonder.
Yeah, nice.
So
or born in the quantum realm.
Yep, that too as well. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Coming here from the group chat, I want to see Doom pick her up, and then want them to actually be a couple. Another comment, which also has happened, and then a question here about I hope in season 2 Loki gonna meet Thor. So we'll see about that one. Why isn't this thing staying on the screen? It clicks and it goes away. There we go. So yeah, the other comments I'll address later because there are more D23 stuff, so I'll address those when we get to that content. There also was some D23 posters, which I think this kind of stayed true to it. There was like a big Disney one, except for one did not happen. Mm-hmm. So the poster included a Black Panther symbol, which we have some Wakanda Forever stuff from D23. Cap shield. We'll talk about New World Order. There was a Nova Corps blaster, but nothing for Nova announced. A Shang-Chi symbol, but nothing Shang-Chi related at D23, and a Spider-Man as well on the big Disney poster for D23. So interesting that none of those did come to fruition with that. But yeah, Ironheart news, Reagan Aaliyah added to cast, and so was Shakira Barrera. So they're adding some more people to the cast there for Ironheart. the X-Men theme song. So Eric Lewald, the X-Men writer, he said the X-Men animated series theme song wasn't a done deal necessarily when they were producing the new show. The rights were all over the place. I think a secondary person had rights to the music, so it was negotiation for them. Obviously, you can't do the new show without that song, but the guy selling it knew the same thing, so I'm sure it was a heavy price. So it sounds like Marvel did pay a nice chunk of change to get the X-Men theme song rights back. That we've heard in Multiverse of Madness, and we heard in Miss Marvel, and we're going to obviously get in the cartoons.
Cool.
Madam Web News, which I have no idea what this movie. Emma Roberts did get. She's playing Parker, the mother Parker. I'm going blank on the name again. Anyways,
Maria.
yes. So she talked about the plot, and she said the film will be an origin story of the clairvoyant Madam Web, whose psychic abilities allow her to see within the spider world. Yeah.
do you know what? As soon as you said that, I just kind of went, yeah, I still don't care. Like,
Yeah.
That makes me care even less, if I'm totally honest. But
so yeah, there was this Loki season 2 rumor, which this did not get announced at D23, so I'll bring it up now. Henry Cavill as Marcus Milton Hyperion. That rumor has been floating around for a while, along with him being Reed Richards and also Doctor Doom as well. So it seems like Cavill's popular out there in the Marvel circles.
get him into anything, just anything. Yeah, I love what you're doing, Jeremy. What you're doing is doing this. You say, there's also a rumor out there. This did not happen.
Well, I just love it because I think that rumor came about because people just like want to typecast Henry as a Superman type. So like I've seen people just be like, "Oh, Hyperion, Sentry, like we got to have him as one of these two characters in the MCU," and it's like, no, we don't. Like he could play anybody else if he wanted to. Like,
But it would be a good middle finger back to DC though if he played Hyperion or Sentry.
I mean, the Hyperion. The Sentry thing, yeah, but the Hyperion, that is literally a direct, because that's direct. This was supposed to be Superman. This was who it was, wasn't it? I think he could be good at Doom. I really liked his turn as a bad guy in the Mission Impossible. Was it Fallout? It was Fallout he was in, wasn't it? Yeah. I really liked his turn as a bad guy, and that I thought he played a really, really good, sinister bad guy. I really like that, and I think he could be excellent as Doom.
I think he'd be excellent as Reed too. I think he could pull that role off as Reed, and even some of the later comics kind of look like him.
Yeah,
some of the runs do look like him as well.
Yep.
Comment here. I love him as Doom. Anything really, but he'd be a good villain, which I agree. He definitely would make a good villain. Werewolf by Night, which I do have some D23 news, so I'll keep this one short. This was not talked about at D23 though. Harriet Sansom Harris as the Halloween special's big bad. It sounds like Harris is playing a cult leader from the House of Bloodstone called Varisa. So yeah, but I have more Werewolf by Night news for D23, but I'll get to that in a minute. Quantum Mania news, which also was talked about D23. The only news I have here is that Peyton Reed on Jonathan Majors' King performance. It's become a cliche over the decades to compare somebody to a young Marlon Brando, but Jonathan has that. He just has his energy and his presence, and our movie is delightfully benefiting from that. Which there's more comments about Jonathan Majors from another person in the project that I'll talk about in the D23 news.
This seems like a strange comparison to make to Marlon Brando. I wouldn't have ever said that.
Yeah. Who knows?
Moving on.
Yep. X-Men. So Disney was teasing X-Men ahead of D23. On Thursday, September 8th, the streaming service's official media account shared a new post celebrating 6 days until Disney Plus Day, along with an X-Men hashtag. Accompanying the caption is a GIF of the scene from 2014's X-Men Days of Future Past, showcasing Hugh Jackman's Wolverine with 6 organic bone claws, representing how the event is only 6 days away. Now, I don't know if that's something to do with, the streaming stuff that we saw on Disney Plus, more content, but it definitely was not announced at D23. So there was no X-Men news at D23.
Please keep doing that. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I saw that. I questioned that the first time I saw that, because I was like, hold on, I don't. Yeah, there was that stupid. Who was it that was saying they was having an argument? Brendan, one of our sort of alumni members. Brendan said he was having an argument with one of his best pals that there was somebody had photoshopped like the screen at D23 with the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And the lengths that people will go to sort of pretend that something's happening. So that's what I was kind of thinking. Oh, maybe that was fake, but it wasn't. It was genuine, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Strange.
I have some Blade news, which there was no Blade conversation at D23. Filming will start in October. That's all I have for Blade. Thunderbolts news. There will be Thunderbolts news from D23. And I'm going to have a nice sigh there. Anyways, the news before D23 was Florence Pugh's Yelena Belova will be the lead. Justin Kroll from Deadline said Florence Pugh has got Marvel superhero that's already got a spin-off. Upcoming for her, actually, on that character is this Thunderbolts film, which is basically Marvel's Suicide Squad. Hopefully it has better results, but the concept is be her leading the team of Wyatt Russell's John Walker, Daniel Bro Zemo, wrong. Those anti-heroes that are actually good, but actually bad. So there's that, and people seem to like the Yelena character, which D23 did announce the team, but Zemo is not on it, and we'll talk about that later. Speaking of Thunderbolts, I will post this question up there about William Hurt. They know his passing. Are we going to see Red Hulk in there? Maybe they're going to recast him, which I know Alex has said before that they could have the off-screen transformation and just stay Red Hulk and just go that way. I said, they could use Red She-Hulk, maybe make another person Red She-Hulk, maybe Val becomes Red She-Hulk on screen. Maybe they bring Betty back, since we're already getting Tim Blake Nelson as Samuel Stone's the leader coming back, we'll talk about. So why not bring back Betty, either Liv Tyler again, or recast Betty Ross and make her Red She-Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows? But yep, we'll have to wait and see on that one. Where were we at? Chadwick Boseman. So there was some things here. He did win Astounding Voiceover Performance for What If, so he was an Emmy winner. So that was good to see and to have him to win that. Wakanda Forever is starting to do reshoots last week in GA or in Georgia. So they've done some reshoots for that one. Moon Knight won an Emmy for Outstanding Sound Editing. Costume designer Megan Kasperlik. So there was an Easter egg that was missed in Moon Knight by everyone. It's when Arthur Hara walks away and has his blood on his sandals. We put on the bottom of the sandals, but into the sole, there's a crocodile imprint on it. So when he walks away, there's an imprint in the blood of a crocodile. I don't think they end up focusing on it, but we actually practically did it. So,
Funny.
And there was no Moon Knight news at D23.
just going back to the Moon Knight and the Emmy winning it. I feel like there were so many more awards that could have won. What did you say the award was in? The sound editing?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it wasn't good. Obviously, it was good. It won't win an Emmy if it's not. But it wasn't one of the things that really stuck out to me for that show. Was the sound editing, and there was other things that I thought. But then did it not win a lot of other awards earlier on in the year as well?
Yes. Yep.
So, yeah, I've just remembered that. So I'll shut up.
Okay. Deadpool news, which there was no Deadpool news at D23. Morena Baccarin, she was interviewed and she discussed about it. From your lips to God's ears, I have no idea. They're writing the script now. I'm usually the last to find out anything. I wish I had information I could give you, but I really don't, but it'd be great. I think when we shot the second film, I would just die. And after they screened it a few times, they actually changed it to include the timeline thing. So I think it's a good sign that fans want to see her again. Whether or not it happens, it's not up to me. So she wants to return, but does not know at this time.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Well, she was dead, wasn't she? Yeah.
And then he changed the time at the end. So
yeah, of course. Yeah.
So Disney Plus, there's a VFX supervisor, Kevin Yulee, addressed the similarities in the visuals between Marvel's TV Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Miss Marvel. Is it canon? It's funny because our company worked on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. For the whole run of the show, and I've seen that since the pilot. Terra Genesis, Marvel Studios didn't bring it up to us, but we internally said it's kind of like Terra Genesis a little bit. Crystallizing. I think that Terra Genesis was a little more volcanic in its look. Honestly, if they're going to do some Inhuman or X-Men path, that's above my pay grade. I have no idea. because we did both. We did those scenes, and I worked on some of those shots. I was a composer, more of an artist back then, so I worked on some of those. But yeah, I have no idea about the similarities.
I thought the visual effects, just talking about the visual effects just in general in Miss Marvel, I thought they were really good.
Hmm?
I thought they were really good.
Yep.
And I thought they were complex enough to be bad. Do you know what I mean? Especially with the beginning, like it could have looked rubbish, couldn't it? But I thought it looked pretty good.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
they did it pretty well.
I think they did too. And I think that they ran I hate to compare it to this, but I think they ran the risk of it being kind of like the Green Lantern movie.
Yeah.
Where it kind of, that like hard light kind of construct looked kind of weird, but I think they did a really good job with it.
Yep. Remember, I kept saying, everyone wait and see. Don't judge it until you see it.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are. Agatha Covenant of Chaos, which was not announced at D23. Agatha Covenant of Chaos uses the oh-so witchy working title My Pretty. For those on the LLC spreadsheet jockeys out there keeping the track, the production company for Agatha Covenant of Chaos is Oak Haven Productions LLC.
Okay.
Morbius news, which we know for a fact was not talked about at D23, is on Netflix. I still haven't watched it.
No, it's now free on your
Yes.
phone, and you're still not watching it.
No.
It's not free. Of course, you paid Netflix, but
Guardians of the Galaxy.
I'm gonna watch it while we're doing it.
It may be background noise I'm working this week or something. I don't know. I'm not too keen to see it though. Honestly, my son keeps talking about it, and they all sit and watch it with him. Who knows? We'll see.
I love that. I love that meme that it's like, you know what we needed, Sony? Like people just weren't excited enough the second time when you put it in theaters. We need a TV show. Like, I love that meme.
Also too, James Gunn did address the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, which was not talked about at D23, and James Gunn was not at D23, but it will be around 40 minutes. So,
Okay, a nice little length there.
yep. One more thing about X-Men. According to Deadline, Justin Kroll, don't expect X-Men for a very long time. Film isn't happening for a very long time outside of a writer being tapped. Super unlikely any cast decisions are made for a very long time. And there were no X-Men announcements at D23. Also, too, don't forget that Spider-Man No Way Home is back in theaters. That's been rolling out worldwide, so with the extended time.
Yeah, and what's the little tagline it's got on that? Like
The More Stuff edition or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Or cool stuff or something like that, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
Nice way to generate some hype there. Well done.
And sorry, my allergies are acting up today. Disc golf this morning and allergies are going. Anyways, so now D23. Now the D23 news. So it was kicked off very interesting. They did Star Wars first. They did Indiana Jones.
Just
Go ahead.
on that, I know we're a Marvel show, but the Star Wars stuff looks amazing. It looks brilliant. I was like so excited. I was really excited anyway. And I know we're going to get into Secret Invasion and Werewolf by Night, etc., in a minute. And I was proper hyped anyway. And then I went and watched all the Star Wars stuff. So I watched the Tales of the Jedi, sort of anthology series. Saw the new Andor trailer, which I was already excited about anyway. Saw the Mando season 3 trailer. I was like, man, this is great. I just don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I need to retire now so I can watch all this stuff. It's great.
And also Andor 3 episode premiere.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
That looks really great as well. I had no interest in that show at all until the second, because this was the third trailer, wasn't it? I believe. I think the first trailer was quite sort of atmospheric. It was almost just like scenes of like landscapes, if I remember rightly. There was no talking in it. And then they released the first trailer for it, and I was like, oh yeah, wow, that looks brilliant. And then this second trailer just makes it look even better. I can't wait for it. It looks great. And Mando season 3 looks brilliant as well. And even the animated stuff is great. So yeah, loving what Star Wars are doing at the moment. We'll have to have another sort of Star Wars takeover day when all that sort of stuff starts coming out. So yeah.
And Jon Favreau was there on stage during the Star Wars panel. And also sound like too that Rick, I don't want to butcher his last name, Rick Fury Mua. He's going to be doing some more directing on Star Wars stuff, and I believe it was Mando was the announcement.
Right.
He's going to be doing more on the Mando side of things.
Excellent.
Also, too, Indiana Jones was there. Harrison Ford was out there. There was a reunion I'll talk about when I get into announcement for Quantumania.
It's head though. Alex,
Yeah.
head.
So I like the Indiana Jones movies, but that Crystal Skull movie was just like, what are we doing here? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wanted to like that movie, but
Yeah.
like, it seemed off for an Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
Yeah, I did.
It was almost like, you know, they made 3 really, really great movies, 3 really great movies, and then just stop. Like, that was brilliant. Like, you don't need to do any more. That was brilliant. Back to the Future, 3 really great movies. They stopped. Brilliant. Done. Don't stop. Don't drag Michael J. Fox out to do another one. Like, don't drag Harrison Ford out to it. Doesn't need to do that. It was great as it was. So yeah, I'm with you, Alex. I'm with you.
Yeah, my comment on that is it seemed like Crystal Skull did kind of go back to the past to bring Marion back in, but also kind of hand the torch off to a newer generation, which I think that's where Harrison Ford should have stopped. And then they've kind of done a new Indiana Jones. I know Sheila Buff is all controversial and that kind of stuff, and you know, there's been some Chris Pratt rumors, which there was nothing with Chris Pratt at D23. But you know, I don't understand why they're doing another movie. But they also this movie's going to tie to the past as well, so maybe this one is going to be the proper torch handing off in this Indiana Jones movie. Who knows?
What they could have done, they could have James Bonded it.
Yep, made a mantle.
They could have done, well, not even that, just change the actor and it's still Indiana Jones. It's just a different actor. You know, they could have just James Bonded it. And because Chris Pratt would make a really good Indiana Jones.
Yep.
Like as another Harrison Ford Indiana Jones. Do you know what I mean? Like the same person. They could have done that. And I think that probably would have worked better. And no offense to Harrison Ford at all, but you know, that's not
they could have even made Chris Pratt his son, and he could have passed the mantle down to his son or something like that, you know, and it'd be one of those things where it's like, yeah, you're Indiana now. Like, go.
Well, that's what I thought Crystal Scroll was going to be, right?
Yeah.
They did that Crystal Scroll because that was his son, wasn't it?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, LaBeouf wasn't his son, wasn't he?
I thought he was his son. I thought he was his son with Miriam.
Maybe I just blanked out of my mind. Then I didn't think he was, but maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, let's stop talking about Indiana Jones.
All right. Anyways, moving on.
Yeah.
But anyways, yes, I agree on Chris Pratt. You know, him and Jurassic Park is basically Indiana Jones with dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah.
All right. So they kicked it off with a live performance of the Rogers musical at the very beginning. Yes.
Do it all day.
Yep. They could. My notes are not in any order here because my notes that I had and then I posted the group, they're all out of order. So anyways, nothing's in order here. But I do have shows contained with notes. So Daredevil, let's talk about that one first. When Charlie Cox came on the stage, he says, "Don't you mean my show?" So Daredevil Born Again will be filming next year. We'll have 18 episodes. Kevin Feige also addressed continuity for all you saying that this is going to be season 4 and all canon stuff. Feige kind of said, no, it's not. He said, it's a season 1. It's not season 4. It's a whole new thing, which I think is the way to go. If you're going to do it again, do it differently. So there you go. It is not canon.
I actually felt kind of bad for Charlie Cox. I was reading an article about him, and he was saying until he appeared in the Spider-Man movie, like he would see people in like New York and places, and they'd be like, "Hey, look, it's Daredevil." And he said until like he was in the new Spider-Man movie, nobody really recognized him as Charlie Cox. So now people will be like, "Hey, you're Charlie Cox, you're Daredevil." And so now he's actually got the name recognition behind being Daredevil rather than just being like, "Hey, you're Daredevil." Like, yeah.
He also addressed She-Hulk as well. Cox did during his panel. He said Hulk won't help set up Born Again. Echo most likely will. So if you're looking for anything from She-Hulk to Daredevil, don't count on it. But Echo will. Echo most likely will. It will be a fun introduction to how DD will be in the MCU regarding She-Hulk cameo. Cox says he's only on one She-Hulk episode. So there you go with that one.
Okay.
I think it'll be episode 9. I'm betting right now.
Okay. Now we're going to talk about my most favorite announcement of Disney Plus Day. Can you guess what it is?
Werewolf by Night.
Yep, that's what it is. This is my favorite panel and announcement. I actually love what they're doing here. So this is being called a special presentation, not a Halloween special. So Gio Chino says, who's directing it, that It's a 30s and 40s horror movies inspired him to take Werewolf by Night. The description of the special: on a dark and somber night, a secret cabal of monster hunters emerge from the shadows and gather at the forbidding Bloodstone Temple following the death of their leader. In a strange and macabre memorial to the leader's life, the attendees are thrust into a mysterious and deadly competition for a powerful relic, a hunt that will ultimately bring them face to face with a dangerous monster. Also, they said it's going to be darker and scary, but fun. They did confirm that Gail Garcia Bernal will be Jack Russell and Laura Connolly will be Elsa Bloodstone. Laura Connolly also said, I think we can expect something that is generally scary and really thrilling, but also something that has really beautiful heart to it. It's a human story, and I think that it's generally unique in the MCU. And we also got our first glimpse of Man-Thing in the trailer they showed as well. So the trailer's out there. This was one of the trailers they released along with Secret Invasion. Was that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Werewolf by Night and Secret Invasion were the only one footage that actually released as trailers. But it also is making history in the MCU in 5 different ways. So one, it's the first special presentation. It's full monochrome that we saw from the trailer. It's a Monster Mash milestone. Giochino leaves the composing stand for director's chair. And Jack Russell, which is my favorite part of this, will have full body prosthetics. So we're getting practical effects for this like they did in the old movies of the horror movies. I'm looking so forward to that. Yes.
This movie's got kind of like an old school like Frankenstein kind of feel, like mixed with like a old Vincent Price kind of movie kind of style. And it's
exactly
like all these people are like trapped in a house kind of. And I feel like the theme of this is going to be like they're all monsters, and even though Jack is really like a werewolf and a monster, he's the least monstrous one out of all these people. It's going to be kind of where this is going. And you're going to see I just feel like I'm really excited for this. I like old school monster movies like this. And that scene that they have in the trailer where it's like his shadow of him changing into a werewolf, and she's like, you know, looking back in horror as he's changing. I can't wait for that. That's awesome. You know.
Yeah, they've heavily lent on that inspiration, haven't they? Just going back onto the practical visual effects that you was talking about there, Joe. It'll work and it'll look good because it'll be in place. Do you know what I mean? It'll be that's what you expect it to look like. Like it would look really weird if they didn't use practical effect, and it would look, even if it looked more real, it would look more fake. Does that make any sense at all? Just what I'm trying to say. Like it almost needs to look fake to fit into that scenario, and then you'll go, that's what my eyes and my brain are expecting to see right now. And it's this kind of thing. It's the same conversation that we're having around the She-Hulk thing, where sometimes it looks great and other times you're like, actually I'm questioning this because she's almost so human. It's like, that's not, my brain can't marry those two things up. And I think if you'd have put this CGI werewolf in that style of movie, it just would have looked really weird, and it would have stuck out like a sore thumb, and I think it would have taken away some of that charm. So I think that's a totally right decision to use those practical effects.
And I've also been wondering if this is going to be something that's going to be like a part of the MCU, as like it's going to be part of their universe, like something within it, like a movie within the MCU.
Oh, right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like this is like an old 30s or 40s style movie that like Steve Rogers would have gone and seen. Like
so like in Men in Black 3, 2, which one is it? Where they go and see the movies with it about the movie that they're in. Do you know when they go to the video store? Yeah, a little bit like that. Yeah. So like at the end of the show, maybe it cuts out and there's Elsa Bloodstone like in color, and she's sitting there watching this movie going, that's not how it happened.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
Elsa Bloodstone and Jack Russell.
Yeah. Sitting side by side watching.
Yep. Yeah. I could definitely see them doing that, kind of fast forward into present day, and this kind of leading to Midnight Suns. I also wouldn't be surprised if when they do Agatha's show that she is the surrogate for Jennifer Kale in the MCU, and that she has come across Man-Thing in her travels. I wouldn't be surprised.
It seems like that little, I'm going to call it this because I just don't know what to call it, that little like scary haunted mansion kind of like thing that they're doing is probably going to have a bunch of different monsters, and we only know a Werewolf by Night and Man-Thing. So curious to see if we see, you know, vampires, we see like a bunch more, like how much more is flushed out, and if it's just like a fun mythology or if it's like it goes really dark.
I also wonder too if this will tie in anything else, or we get a Blade cameo, or something like that as well.
Maybe
You know?
maybe you'll get Blade at the end.
Yep.
Eddie sort of shouts at Bloodstone and goes, stop watching that shit. We've got work to do.
that'd be a great cameo to do it that way. I'd love
Yeah,
that. I'd
that'd
love to
be
see
great.
that.
Yeah.
The last bit of news: it will be released October 7th, so just less than a month away.
Wow, soon. Yeah, excellent. That's great. I love the fact. I love this. And again, we spoke about this in our last episode when we spoke about She-Hulk being a different flavor, like the sort of She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, Love and Thunder being that kind of lighter side, and looking at some of the things that have already been out and some of the things that are going to come out. There's so many different genres. This is another genre, another string to the bow.
Exactly. Now on to probably Andy's favorite announcement at D23, Secret Invasion. So we did get a trailer for this, but Kingsley Ben-Adir will be playing the Rebel Scroll leader Gravik. He's a new character, and I think we all pretty much think he's probably going to be a Super Scroll from the looks of the trailer. Olivia Colman will debut as Special Agent Sonya Falsworth. Think of that name. Sonya seems to be a character newly created just for the MCU. It's possible she'll have a connection to the Union Jack name and be an ancestor of James Montgomery Falsworth, who served alongside Captain America in World War II as a Howling Commando.
Yeah, 100%. That's gonna. She is a stopgap between him and, in the comics, his daughter, which was Jacqueline, who's Spitfire. So that is 100%. She's going to be the daughter of that Falsworth that we saw in First Avenger, and then her daughter. I'm betting it now. He's going to be Jackie Falsworth, and she'll be Spitfire. 100%.
I can see it. Yep.
It's got to be, isn't it? I mean, it makes so much sense. Like, we're not really going to see Olivia Colman like suit up as Spitfire, surely. That's not going to happen. But it makes perfect sense as well, because if you think she would have been young when like Peggy and Falsworth and all of those guys were sort of creating S.H.I.E.L.D. and doing all those kind of things, she would have been brought up in that kind of world. So, yeah, it makes perfect sense to me. But, yeah, no, I absolutely loved what that looked like. I mean, like I said, I'm a big sort of fan of spy, espionage, thriller type stuff. And this looks exactly along those lines. The whole sort of Bourne, style really appeals to me. But something that really stood out for me watching that trailer was Samuel Jackson, and just his presence. We have 100% missed his presence. 100%. He just all of a sudden he just all walks in, and you're like, man, that guy's got some stature, And even when he's just sitting there drinking his whiskey, talking to Maria Hill, yeah, you're like, he's just like one word, and you're like, yeah, okay, I'm with you for this. Let's go.
He's got like a certain gravity to his presence. It's like it's a heavy weight to be Nick Fury, and especially in the MCU. I mean, you even see Maria Hill's like, like, I've needed you. Like, where have you been? Like, she's not the only person, I'm sure, that's been reaching out to Nick Fury. Like, and he's been gone for supposedly how long?
Well,
before Endgame.
Yeah. I mean, she says years, doesn't she? I mean, we're still pretty convinced, it's pretty certain that the Nick that got dusted in at the end of Infinity War was the real Nick. Would Fury really have entrusted the Miss Marvel pager to somebody else? It seemed like him with the words that he said, well, what he was about to say before he got dusted. So it's probably since then. She probably hasn't seen him since then. So
remember Far From Home though, it was Talos though. So
yeah,
anyone if he would trust anyone with the pager, it would be Talos, because Talos was there with Captain Marvel, and the way that Talos said, "Don't invoke her name," that kind of stuff. So I could see him being gone longer.
Yeah, you might be right. That's another good point actually. Ben Mendelsohn, I'm big fan of Ben Mendelsohn. I think he's brilliant. One of the best things about Rogue One was Ben Mendelsohn.
Yes.
But so I'd quite like to see, and he had a sort of bit more of a comedic role, I think, in Captain Marvel. So I'd like to see, and he looks like he's going to be in human form quite a lot in this. So at least from the trailer, we saw him in human form. So I'd like to see him fleshed out as a more serious character, working alongside Nick. So that looks great.
There's also great. There's a Netflix show. I forgot. It's like a family that owns like a beach resort. He's like a brother. He plays in that series. He's so great in that. I forgot what it's called. I'll have to find the name of it while Alex is talking.
I was just gonna say, I think the thing that really sticks out about this trailer is not only is it like a spy kind of like environment, is kind of the feel that you get from it, but this goes a step further because the thing is about scrolls is you never know if the guy standing next to you or the lady standing next to you is actually a scroll or not. Like, like, and they have that scene in the trailer where this one guy stands up and he grabs some dude by like the coat, and literally everybody stands up around him and they all turn into the same person, and they look at him and he's like what just happened? And that's kind of like the fear. It's worse than that, like Captain America, the Winter Soldier, like we've been infiltrated by Hydra, because it's like you might be able to find like out who they are, but you never actually know like what mask they're hiding behind, or who they actually are. Like with the scrolls, they can just change on a whim and be somebody else. So
that moment in the trailer was I didn't even catch that properly until the second time. Like I didn't realize it wasn't already all him. I thought they were already all him, and then when you see it in the second time and they're all different people, and then they all turn into him, you're like, oh wow, that's awesome! Just can't wait for this. This looks great.
Bloodline. So you have Netflix, go watch Bloodline. He's right in that series also.
Ben Mendelsohn, great actor. And we saw Emilia Clarke, showing up for the first time. So that's going to be interesting to see who she plays.
And it's we don't know exactly who she plays, but it's been said that she will end up switching sides and being an ally to Nick Fury and Maria Hill.
And she has that line in the trailer that sounds like she's like a scroll. Like she's like in the trailer, she says something like, "You just don't understand like how this works." Like like something like that. Like she's gone through this process before, so I think she'll be a scroll.
She definitely is a scroll. She definitely is a scroll.
Yeah.
Right. So definitely going to be a scroll. Right. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
We just don't know who she is. If she's been Renki or she's someone else or a new scroll, but she's definitely a scroll.
Yeah. And obviously, Rhodey's turning up in that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and we had that conversation about that, Alex, an interesting one, because he had the security detail. And we know previously Rhodey is a colonel in the Air Force. Is he a general now? Is he a politician? Is he the one kind of be in the face of Stark Industries alongside with Pepper? Because since he has access to technology, that was interesting visual of him out of uniform in a suit with the pin on him, kind of like a business person or
maybe a congressman or something as well.
Or maybe even like a liaison between Stark Industries and the government.
That's what I was thinking. Like he could be like a lobbyist or like a congressman, like a House of Reps person or a senator. But like there's one thing I was thinking about, and I was like, after the death of Tony, you probably have Stark Industries is probably like the world's like, well, what's going to happen with this weapons developer that has like Iron Man suits and stuff like that, like. So Rhodey would probably be a really good person because not only has he worn the War Machine armor and was like, Tony Stark's like best friend, but he also was in the military and, he's really close with Stark Industries. So he would be the perfect person to kind of slide into like a leadership role there and kind of like help put out the fires between like the world on fire with armor wars and, Stark Tech.
That's going to be really interesting to see him show up again, because obviously he showed up in Falcon and Winter Soldier. He's going to show up in this, which is apparently going to lead straight on into his own show, into Armor Wars, which Joran will come on to in a minute, I guess. But it looks like he's going to take on a more senior role within the MCU. Another linking piece. Like we spoke earlier about Wong being one of those linking pieces, and you see there's these rich connections that we've created over the last sort of 12. Actually, how long's it been now? 14 years. These connections that have been created over the last 14 years, and they could just drop in a character, and you're like, yeah, that's that guy.
And I feel like Wong, Rhodey, Daredevil, I feel like these are all going to be big characters that kind of like tie a lot of people together, like at different levels.
They're all like the new age Coulsons.
Yeah. But like, Daredevil's obviously going to tie a lot of the street people together. Wong's going to tie a lot of the supernatural people together. Rhodey's going to pull a lot of the government and, like a lot of the weapons people together. So you're going to have like all these people that kind of link the bigger groups together, I guess.
Yeah. Very good point.
Which, speaking of Rhodey, Don Cheadle was in attendance, and Armor Wars is not dead. It's happening. And I'm skipping a couple things. I'll circle back to the other ones because Armor Wars is going to be a direct result of Secret Invasion. So they basically said it will follow up on the events of Secret Invasion. It's going to be a 6-episode series, which is basically similar to the 6 comic book main run in the comics. But also it will start production in 2023. So it also makes you wonder that if this is going to be from the events of Secret Invasion, I wonder if more with Secret Invasion than more technology, and they actually get their hands on it, and Rhodey has to bring that back into the fold in Armor Wars.
Well, in the Secret Invasion trailer, there was an opening of a briefcase. There was that kind of red herring. Do you know what I mean? There was something in there, wasn't there? I don't call it red herring. That's the wrong word. What's the word I'm looking for? There's another movie word.
MacGuffin?
Yes, that's the word. Thank you. Yeah, it's a MacGuffin. Yeah, there was something in there, weren't there? And they sort of open it up, and there's like they didn't show you what it was, so it could be something like that. I was thinking about this yesterday, Jaren, and I reckon that they've completely changed what Armor Wars was going to be about. I reckon when they first announced it, however long ago that was, they had an idea, and now they just went, nope, we're not doing that anymore. And then we're going to do this instead, and it's going to be here instead. And that's why it's taken so long for them to announce it.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it was like originally probably about like weapons development and picking up on Tony Stark's legacy, and now it's kind of shifted into finishing what they leave off on Secret Invasion and a world in chaos from where governments around the world have been infiltrated by an outside source and nobody ever knew it, so.
Yeah.
I also wonder too, going back to Secret Invasion, I wonder if Rhodey will be the Tony surrogate and have some way to detect if they're Skrulls or human as well. And that could be what's in that case also, that technology.
Mm-hmm.
But also too, since you said don't expect the same Armor Wars from the comics, don't expect the same Secret Invasion. That massive event, that Secret Invasion was all that, don't expect any of that. This seems more like a spy, counter spy, intelligence, government type, technology type thing than what we saw from the comics.
And the original Secret Invasion had like Avengers, X-Men. I mean, it had
Yep.
like everybody. You're not
Savage Land.
Yeah, you're not going to be getting like any of that in this show.
Yeah.
This is going to be more of like a kind of like a Black Widow kind of like style kind of show. It's going to be more of a spy thriller, I think.
I would say not Black Widow, but I would probably say Winter Soldier on steroids.
Yeah, I'm thinking more of like, that face technology that Black Widow had. Yeah, that's why I'm saying that. Like oh, you never really know like who's it's kind of like the Mystique syndrome that we had with Fox, where every time we watched a movie, we'd be like, oh, is this person gonna be Mystique? And then Mystique changes and it's actually her. But
hey, Ruben. Ruben's just come live on.
Hello.
He's on the train without his headphones. Go on, play us to everybody then.
So next up is Loki. So the cast of Loki was there, and the main thing with Loki is that it's going to pick right up where season 1 left off. Back at the TVA, where Mobius and B-15 don't know who Loki is. Loki will also connect the whole multiverse saga, which he kind of kicked it off. Anyways, go ahead, Andy.
I was thinking about this. I want to go back and watch Loki again. I enjoyed Loki when it came out, but it kind of didn't mean anything when it came out. It means so much more now. Do you know what I mean? Like it's almost really, really important. You don't realize how much it meant when it first came out, when you compare it to what's happening now and what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Does that make sense? So I'm really buzzing for season 2.
Me too.
So Ke Huy Quan, hopefully I'm saying his name right. He joins the cast, but the nice thing about him though is that, remember I said Marvel was after Indiana Jones panel? Mm-hmm. So he played Short Round in Temple of Doom. Mm-hmm. And so during this panel of D23 that day, it was the first time that him and Harrison Ford have seen each other after 38 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have seen the picture. I have seen the picture of them together.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, a nice reunion there.
Must be
and I wonder what
really strange for Harrison Ford. Like he's got, the last time he saw this person, he was a child.
Yep.
And now he's seeing a grown man. It must be really weird.
Any ideas on who he'll play in Loki season 2?
Yeah.
You're gonna get Mr. Glyph on, maybe?
Oh
yeah.
Right. Oh wow. Yeah.
We did get that. Kang Enterprises?
Yep.
Is
the tower
first season? Yeah.
Yeah. in the Void.
Yeah.
So that's my thought when I first heard he was casted. So
Yeah, good idea. I didn't even think about that.
yeah, and then it will release summer of 2023.
Cool.
So
There's so much going on next year. So much going on. I was just looking through my phone at the sort of, the projects, and I know you're going to get in more into them, but looking at what we've spoken about already, Guardians, at the end of this year, but then starting next year, What If, Ant-Man, Secret Invasion, Guardians Volume 3.
the Marvels.
Yeah, you'll get onto that in a minute, but then we've got the sort of 2 or 3 shows in between. Echo and Loki season 2. There's so much, honestly. We're not gonna have any time on our hands.
So up next is the Marvels, which is on track for next summer as well. It will focus on 3 heroes as they keep trading places with each other every time they use their powers and must team up to fix their problem. The nice thing too is that I heard the audio of this, and the whole time they were showing the footage, they were playing Beastie Boys Intergalactic. So that's the vibe that they have going there. It says Goose will return along with Nick Fury and the Khan family as well.
Okay.
So they're all going to be in it. Also noticed too in the audio, Monica Rambeau goes by Captain Rambeau. It seems like what Fury is calling her from what I heard from the audio. Iman Vellani, she shared 4 things to expect in the Marvels: the Khan family, Flurkins, Kree, and then Daniel's emotional complexity interactions with Kamala. Also, too, I don't know if you saw on the page, I shared an article. I'm not going to go too much into it right now, but it sounds like Brie Larson may be coming to the end of her role as Carol Danvers. That's the way that she kind of talked about it. I'm not sure, but it kind of sounded like that there may be a transition here at some point coming soon. That's the way the article read her comments. So
that'd be a shame, because I feel like that's almost that. I mean, I haven't read the article. I've seen it, but I haven't read it. But it almost feels like that's like a forced move. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't feel like she wants to do that, but it's kind of just happened.
It wasn't like she wanted to, but I think she's getting to the point where I think she's getting older, and it might be phasing out for her, and maybe time to pass the reins type of thing. The way I read it.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. If they pass the reins to a Marvel, I'll be bang up for that.
Or Rambeau.
I was going to
yeah.
say Monica was
Mhm.
Captain Marvel at one point too. So
Yeah.
Yep.
I was just thinking to bring in, Marvel, but it might be too late for that now.
Unless they found like a young one that could do it with, I don't know, kind of change things up. Anyways, though, Zay Austin, who is going to be the main villain, it sounds like, her character will be wielding an accuser's hammer. So
Okay.
interesting there.
Yeah.
Wait, a question from the chat here. All dressed, can someone please explain to me? Come on, stay on screen. There we go. Can someone please explain to me how Jane became Thor, and why is she in Valhalla when she's not a god?
Way you go.
Oh,
Way you go.
Yeah. So basically, in Thor: Love and Thunder, they went back and showed their dating life and so forth, and kind of closed the loop on Thor and Jane, what happened with them. When Thor basically became king and he had the powers, he basically enchanted Mjolnir to basically protect Jane. And so in Love and Thunder, Jane was sick with cancer. She had no options. Started reading all the books about the mythology and that kind of stuff. Went to New Asgard, where there was a monument of broken Mjolnir there, and Mjolnir basically reformed for her and made her Mighty Thor. The problem is, though, is that it didn't help her cancer. It basically was helping kill her even more. And since she helped defeat Gore the God Butcher and helped fight them, and was actually and Mighty Thor at that time, when she died, she was accepted into Valhalla.
and I accepted that thing because like she died as a god, so
Yep.
like she goes to Valhalla kind of type of thing. Like if she probably would have died like of cancer and in a hospital room, she would have not been there, obviously. But like she died like in battle trying to defeat Gore, excuse me.
Yep.
So
That
It
was
rhymes. Gore Thor.
that was
yeah,
guys. That was the best answer to that question that could have ever been said. That was absolutely spot on. I'm so glad I didn't say anything. I would have just ruined it. That was excellent. That was just excellent. Any more questions? Any more questions? Throw them at these two. They'll talk you right out.
And he's like, "You nerds."
I think that anyway. I knew that before this. You didn't have to do what you just did there.
All right, so Captain America time, and I'll tell you, this probably was very interesting to me because this put some things out there that I did not expect. So, New World Order, it is described as a paranoid thriller. We mentioned this before, and how She-Hulk can lead into multiple Hulks and that kind of stuff. Tim Blake Nelson was there in person on stage for this panel, and he'll return as Samuel Stearns, the leader, and will be the main villain of New World Order. Danny Ramirez was there as well, so it looks like he'll be suiting up as the Falcon. We last saw him as Falcon the Winter Soldier, getting the old Falcon suit to work on that. Carl Lumbly will return as Isaiah Bradley. I hope we get flashbacks. I hope we get some more history with him. I loved him in Falcon Winter Soldier. I also hope that this leads to his grandson becoming the Patriot as well. And then also too, they were introduced a mutant named Sabra. So we are getting a mutant who is played by Shira Haas. I'm sorry if I'm saying her name wrong. She'll be the first Israeli MCU superhero. So
Very cool.
yeah.
Yeah, that's all excellent. Everything you said there, great. That sounds brilliant. Really looking forward to that. Like you said, the leader, are we going to see him kind of partially get his sort of powers? We've already seen him partially get his powers, I guess, in Incredible Hulk. Are we going to see them advance a little bit in She-Hulk and then see him sort of fully flourish in New World Order? What's he doing in New World Order? Why is he the main villain?
Mm-hmm. You know that episode of, and I can't remember which Avengers cartoon it is. It's either Earth's Mightiest Heroes or Assemble, but it's they have an episode where he basically is trying to turn the world into gamma monsters.
Yes,
yeah. That's what I keep thinking about with this movie is it's going to be something like that where he's like trying to turn everybody into.
I have one more thing.
Go ahead.
You were spot on with that because reading some stuff out there, this will be a multiple Hulk problem in this movie. Yeah, so this pretty much sums up that She-Hulk will directly tie into New World Order and World War Hulk, and it sounds like whoever the Wrecking Crew is getting blood for, that's probably directly to the leader, Samuel Stearns.
So we might even see the Wrecking Crew in the new Captain America movie.
That's what I was just thinking. Yeah.
There
you go.
Wow.
Sam.
That's why I was so happy
as well.
Yeah, I was so pumped to hear that. I was like, what? You know, when I was reading this and listening to this and looking at all the follow-up news to this, I'm like, multiple Hulks.
Wow.
So
nice. That is cool, isn't it? So I'm just trying to think. I wonder whether what did you say her name was? Sabra. Yeah, I don't know anything about her at all. But Israeli. So are we going to see some stuff happen in the Middle East? If Cap's got to go out there and deal with some problems out there. Yeah, where are they going to get the Hulks from? This is great. This is really got my mind going now.
And I have I feel like Abomination. He's got to show up in the new Captain America too. I mean, he fits, you know. Like
She-Hulk even.
But yeah, She-Hulk. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, so and now going back to our last episode when I said about a cameo in She-Hulk that we just wouldn't be expected. How awesome would it be if Sam just turns up?
Yep. Recruit.
Yeah. That'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? But Abomination, like we said in our last episode when we spoke about, is he really good or is he just going to go where the money or the fun is, or maybe I don't know. I feel like he could fit into New World Order, but only if he flips. He's got to be bad. He's got to be properly bad. I don't think he can be. I don't think Sam would. Do you know what I mean? I think he needs to be a bad guy, like an obvious bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could see Anthony Mackie, Captain America, showing up at the end of She-Hulk and saying, "Hey, you know those fools that try to get your blood and then eventually succeeded? Well, now we got a problem, and you got to come help."
Yeah,
type of cameo. Yeah. So yeah, coming from the group here, paranoid thriller. Love the sound of that. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. This was the most interesting announcement because of all these things that it could tie, impact and how it totally changes some of the shows out now. And what we thought we knew, how things are going to tie together, going to that. I also heard too that this movie is going to throw Sam Wilson through the ringer because he's not a super soldier. He just has tech. Is really going to test his metal and his mantle of being Captain America.
Good. I think he needed that. I think he
Mhm.
I think he needs that. I think we need to see him do that because he never really did in Falcon and Winter Soldier. He really didn't. He didn't get thrown through the ringer in that, and he hasn't been thrown through the ringer yet, really. So it'd be interesting to see him really struggling and have that, so we can have that emotional attachment to him.
Mm-hmm. I think at the end of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it was very much like he was still accepting that role of being Captain America. Like he still hadn't even really gotten
The
comfortable.
grasp.
Yeah.
And this could be a perfect opportunity to bring Chris back.
Chris Evans.
Chris Evans.
Chris Evans back. I almost said Chris Rogers. Yes, to bring Chris Evans back, not as Captain America, just as Steve Rogers, to either old man Steve Rogers or regular age Steve Rogers, or probably old man, to give him advice, to kind of give him that pep talk, but not be Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, you know what my theory is about. Him, Reed pushing time through Steve to bring him back at some point. But this would be a good way to remind everybody that he's not actually dead or on the moon. That he's actually just an old bloke.
Yep, living his life.
Yeah,
Just a normal dude, just going about life.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, just living in his normal house, just not worried about hero stuff, not living that hero life, and just the normal guy. But just, I think that would be a nice reminder to us at that point. When's that coming out? End of 24? No, middle of 24. Yeah,
I think in 24 sometime. I didn't say anything about a date.
yeah. I think I did see that. That's already been released, hasn't it? Yeah. So May 24. So early May 24. Nice little reminder that Steve's still about, and then boom, year later, you get him.
Because that little scene in Endgame had to be there for something, pushing time through somebody.
Yeah, it's just perfect, isn't it? It's just perfect, and with him in that scene as well. I just don't see how Disney would pass up a marketing, a merchandising opportunity like that. I just don't.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, moving on.
Echo time. So Echo, Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox will be in it. Kingpin will have one eye. Vincent D was there on stage, and he was like, he wanted to talk about Echo, but they pulled him off stage. Echo will explore Native American culture. Vincent D'Onofrio says bringing Fisk and Maya back together is a thrill. Calls Alakwa incredibly talented, and says they have some crazy scenes. And it's there was some audio there, but yeah, it looks like they're going to be going down through a lot of fighting there. Probably backwards and forwards. This could, like I said, an opportunity for Kate Bishop to show up. Since they've crossed paths in Hawkeye, but also see what else they tie in as well. Are they going to bring Kazi back? Also, we know what happened to him. The whole tracksuits, all that kind of stuff. Bro. So,
you know what you just said there about Kate Bishop turning up, because obviously her and Echo have crossed paths in Hawkeye, and then we're going to get, Matt. We know we've got Matt Murdock turning up, and then you go, hold on, that gives Kate Bishop a chance to interact with Daredevil, and then you're like, oh man, this is so cool. This is so cool. What a great time to be a Marvel fan at the moment.
Yeah, so a lot of stuff coming. Fantastic Four, not much news on there. Basically no cast updates at this time, but Matt Shackman was formally introduced as the director at that. Other than that, Kevin Feige said there's no other news to share on Fantastic Four this time, which makes sense. Director's in, probably work on casting now, and we'll see what that comes out to be. They did say it will release on 11/8/24.
Yep.
Was someone cheering for that?
Yeah, they were cheering.
Yeah. We talked Armor Wars, so now it's Quantumania time. Randall Park will return as Jimmy Rue, so he's coming back. Kevin Feige did say that Quantumania will lead into Avengers Kang Dynasty. They did show a trailer. The description was basically Kang is holding Cassie Lang hostage for Scott to pull another heist, but in the quantum realm, or he won't get her back. So that's interesting. Paul Rudd also says that Ant-Man 3 is unlike anything we've seen from the Ant-Man and Wasp franchise, calls it bananas, say Majors is incredible and throw the whole thing into a new territory. And so you have the director saying good things about Majors, and now Paul Rudd saying good things about Majors as well. So I'm interested to see what happens. We know we're getting MODOK in there from what we heard. We know Bill Murray's character sounds like he'll be an opposing force to King. So I wonder if I forgot who he's playing, but I wonder if his character has something King wants, and that's how he gets Scott to steal something from him. I also wonder what we're going to
Is his
see
name
from.
like Kylar or something?
Yeah, Kylar. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
Kylar.
yeah.
I also wonder if we'll find out more about Janet's time and if she came across Kylar or King in her time in the Quantum Realm as well.
Yeah, I reckon that might be true. Actually, there, I reckon she knows a little bit more than what she needs to say at the moment. Do you know what I mean? She probably doesn't realize that it's important yet, but she'll find out that it's important in this movie. But there's, I've heard, I haven't seen it, but I've heard that there's a great line in the trailer that Kang says something to Scott. He says, "Oh, are you an Avenger?" And he says, "Yeah." And he says, "Have I killed you yet?" I cannot wait to see that. They need to release this trailer. They must do it.
So the footage they showed at D23 sounded like more cleaned up footage from Comic-Con, because that was the same line that he said in Comic-Con as well. So it does sound like it's more cleaned up footage, and I won't be surprised because that's kicking off Phase 5, right? Yeah, next year. So I won't be surprised if we get a trailer for Quantumania and Wakanda Forever.
We've got a bit of a dead patch, haven't we? I was thinking about times the other day. We've got a bit of a dead patch between November and then February. It's a big...
We'll get the Guardians holiday special.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Oh, and I suppose, we have got that, yeah. But all things considered, it's still a bit of a dead patch, isn't it? Really, when you look at the sort of how jam packed this year's been and how jam packed next year is going to be between February and December. We've got sort of, basically 3 months, November, December, and January, with next to nothing.
Yep.
That, which is maybe, I'm thinking, what if might get released earlier than, around sort of January time, maybe.
Or wasn't Echo the start of next year too, or Echo later?
No, that's the middle.
I can't remember. Okay.
The summer next year, apparently.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
And what if it's one of those that they could release earlier and move up because it really doesn't have a major impact on the MCU? I mean, they can kind of just do whatever they want with what if, and it's fine, Yep.
No, you're right. Back to you, Joe.
Ironheart. So Ironheart will be tech versus magic, basically. Anthony Ramos is confirmed as the Hood. Teases he's not quite an evil character. It seems he may have a good heart, but ends up taking a deep dive into a dark place at some point in the series. The Hood is a complex character with a little bit of good and bad. Looks to take in other misfits and teach them to end on top. The character takes a deep dive to a dark place. Also, too, it was funny as well. We got some footage. So Riri working on a suit, Riri flying. But also, too, it sounds like they could not get Anthony Ramos off stage. He kept wanting to talk more. They actually had to pull him off stage a little bit because he was wanting to talk more about Ironheart.
Yeah, I saw one of your comments. It said that Kevin Feige actually shut him down at one point.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
yeah,
good things about Ironheart footage as well.
He needs to learn his place.
Yeah. Marvel Security going to get him. Speaking,
somebody tackles him while he's mid sentence, like
that meme of Kevin Feige the sniper, the dark sniper. But that's all about Ironheart. So interesting to see as well. But speaking of Ironheart, Wakanda Forever is our second to last thing we'll talk about. The last one is Thunderbolts. So Wakanda Forever, they did show a new trailer. Riri was flying. The Dora Milaje, Namor Strength, and Atuma. The Dora Milaje wiping out some soldiers trying to steal vibranium. Queen Ramonda gives a speech at the UN where soldiers are stealing vibranium. Dora Milaje brings the soldiers to the UN as prisoners. Wakanda Forever focuses on the rest of the world trying to capitalize on getting Wakanda's resources when they're at their weakest. World knows T'Challa is gone. M'Baku and Namor will fight. Winston Duke describes Wakanda as a very different place following Endgame with better evolved tech. Also, too, it was interesting because Ryan Coogler was on stage with some of the cast. Wakanda Forever was up first, and then Ryan Coogler stayed on stage for Ironheart as well because he's like the executive producer on that series also. So we're definitely going to be seeing a lot of ties there between Riri and Ironheart and Wakanda and Shuri.
Okay, nice. Yep. I'm wondering how much. Obviously, Riri's in Wakanda Forever. I'm wondering how much we'll get the other way.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know how much Wakanda will get in Ironheart.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like a Shuri cameo or a Dora cameo, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
might get Ayo. Is it Ayo?
Yep, similar to Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
So
Like, almost like maybe like a bodyguard or something, maybe.
or dropping tech off to her.
Yeah.
So, before I get to Thunderbolts, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur will premiere on 2/20/24.
Cool.
And that will be on Disney, just regular Disney. So I'm looking forward to that one. But I saved the worst for last. Sorry. Thunderbolts time. Yeah. So Thunderbolts. So here's one comment before I get to it, because you're going to be disappointed. Hope they will bring the real Taskmaster Tony Masters. Well, I'm sorry to say you and I are both disappointed. So the Thunderbolts lineup will be Val, Red Guardian, Ghost, U.S. Agent, Taskmaster from Black Widow, Yelena, and Bucky. To me, this movie feels like Black Widow 2, because basically Val, Red Guardian, Taskmaster, and Yelena all were in Black Widow. But Feige says Bucky is the most stable of the team. So it does sound like we'll have some problems within the team, and probably some of them being stability issues.
This
But yeah.
team's kind of got like a feel of like it's like the leftovers of the second Ant-Man movie, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and Black Widow, and they just kind of took these characters they didn't really know what to do with and kind of just put them on a team. And it seems kind of odd because Yelena, I felt like, was going a completely different direction. You know,
Yelena and Bucky.
Yeah. So this is kind of like a weird U-turn, I feel like, for Yelena and Bucky. And I didn't expect to see Red Guardian and Bucky and John Walker on this team. 3 super soldiers.
Yeah, I said this as 3 super soldiers, an assassin, a protocol droid, and a phase shifter walk into a bar.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that Yelena's there.
Especially with the Val connection. Yeah,
that's my point. It's almost like Val's going to force her to do it.
Yeah,
He doesn't want to do it. I'm super surprised that Bucky's there. I think that is that for I'll say for star power. Obviously I'm fully aware that Florence Pugh and David Harbour are big stars. I know that, but Marvel, let's call it Marvel star power. I mean, he's been in it since the blooming beginning, pretty much, hasn't he? Since first Avenger. But so he's Bucky in it for that reason. I don't know. He feels out of place. He feels totally out of place for me. Red Guardian, that just feels even more weird. Like, I mean, I loved him. I thought he was great, but
and I think at the end of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Bucky and John Walker had that moment where John Walker actually does something like heroic, and Bucky's like, oh, kind of like a great job kind of type of thing, and him and John Walker kind of walk off side by side, and I guess they're kind of building on that little bit of rapport that was built in that moment. But
yeah, maybe
they also made me think that Bucky can maybe hopefully turn them to better people, since mostly people are ex people that have been troubled, and Bucky's been through the ringer on that. But I felt like Bucky after the Falcon Winter Soldier had to go out in the whole nomad type thing and doing good and that kind of stuff versus me being pulled into Thunderbolt. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how they do this. Also, I don't think anyone was guessing that Red Guardian will be in this lineup. I figured Red Guardian would show back up because David Harbour's star power, but I had no idea that they would put him in Thunderbolts. I had no idea where they put him next. But also, too, I wonder if we'll see Melania as well, because we don't know what happened to her after Black Widow, and she had some stuff that she was working on for mind control and that kind of stuff. I also wonder who they're going to be up against, because this feels like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on steroids to me. And so a comment here from the group says, hoping they have a surprise for us. Just isn't making sense to me to have Buck there. Someone says weird in the comments. Another person goes, the last comment here, no Abomination or Zemo, but yes to Red Guardian. So, which I have a comment about that too as well. But you go ahead, Andy, first, because you were about to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think just looking at the rest of the team as well, like, yeah, I wasn't overly offended by Taskmaster, but I didn't particularly like her either, and I don't think that anybody else particularly wanted to see her again, and certainly not in this lineup. Ghost, I don't think I'm surprised, but I think she could work quite well in there. Actually, if I'm honest, I think that kind of makes sense that Val would find her because she's quite vulnerable. Probably needs a home, needs a family. So there you go. That's a family there. So I'm not surprised with that one. But,
and Ghost brings the most unique thing to the team too.
Yeah,
right. And I wonder what
powers.
Yeah, and I wonder if her also comes with Bill Foster comes to her as well as their tech type person also.
Yeah.
But what feels to me though with Taskmaster on the team, it's like U.S. Agent, Red Guardian, Yelena and Bucky are all redundant. Yeah, with Taskmaster, even if it is Antonia, which I don't like because I felt she was free in a good place at the end of Black Widow, which I would hope that this time they would say, okay, the protocol didn't work. We're bringing in the big guns, and it would be Tony Masters, Jensen Ackles, please.
It's also weird too that Yelena's kind of not really, but kind of father is also on this team too, because I feel like there's got to be that like weird kind of like father-daughter dynamic Saul and Black Widow between those two. Because I just feel like we're gonna have 3 super soldiers arguing about what to do on most missions with this. We're gonna have Red Guardian making some kind of joke and talking about, whatever. You're gonna have Bucky being like, we use brute force, and John Walker is gonna be like, well, I was a soldier and this is what we should do. And Bucky was a soldier too, but from a different time. So it's like you're gonna have 3 different perspectives arguing.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about this, and they don't feel villainous enough for me either. They're not bad. They're not bad enough. I mean, when you look at some of the lineups in the books, they were great. Really sort of, torn up people.
I mean, I could see Red Guardian being the peacemaker type person of the group. With the way he was and how he is and so forth. But yeah, I feel this is a lazy lineup. Yeah. I also feel like Yelena was in a good place after Val sticked her on Clint. At the end of Hawkeye, I think she was in a better place to kind of turn back into something, unless, like you said, Val has something on her. Maybe Val's the one that was helping her free the other Black Widows, and so maybe Yelena feels she's in debt to Val. I don't know, but it does feel like a lazy lineup. There's no Hulk-like person. No one can fly. There's no tech. There's no magic user. So they had ways they could do this. Atlas was one in the comics. He could have been like their Hulk-like person, even if no Abomination, because Atlas can grow. They have Bill Foster, who was possibly tied to Ghost, who was Goliath. And then introduce Atlas, introduce Songbird. Don't be lazy.
Yeah.
Bring Hammer back for the tech person. We saw him in jail last. Val's like, hey, you come work for me. I can help you out. You're a tech person. That kind of stuff. Maybe he could even fly the Iron Patriot armor. As an example. And the last thing too, you have the Hood, who is getting introduced now, who's kind of in that area of good and bad. What I just read about Ironheart, he could be your magic user. So I don't understand what this lineup here.
I'm wondering whether this is. Sorry, Alex. 1 second. I'm wondering whether within the movie this is the second lineup of Thunderbolts, and the first line of Thunderbolts go totally rogue. And they are all bad guys. That is Abomination. That is Bullseye. That is Zemo. I don't know. That is Zemo. So maybe they bring together a team of like
second string Thunderbolts to kill the first string Thunderbolts kind of type deal.
But second string Thunderbolts who are actually quite good because they're all good, aren't they? They're all that. Yeah, they were kind of villains, but not. Even when they were villains, they weren't really villains, were they? None of them. None of them were evil. None of them were bad. They were just either brainwashed or just a bit hurt. Do you know what I mean? Like Ghost was hurt, wasn't she? She was hurting, she was grieving, and she didn't know what to do. She wasn't. She
was scared, but she was getting fixed though by Janet though.
Exactly, but she wasn't just evil, was she? None of them are evil and horrible people. So I'm wondering whether we will get another team that they've put together that's gone rogue. A team of actual bad guys.
And there has been some chatter for Bullseye showing up in Daredevil Born Again.
Yeah, which is done before this project.
Yep.
Which that would be awesome. And what's weird is when we saw Ursa Major and Black Widow, when we saw that little bit tease, I thought we were going to eventually maybe like see maybe like a flashback or maybe somewhere in the future, maybe see like a Winter Guard kind of type. theme, and that's where I thought we might eventually see Red Guardian, pop up over there. And I was not expecting him on this, and I think that this kind of like changes. It just seemed like Ursa Major would fit, I think, kind of decently on here because he's kind of like a big bear, kind of like
He could be the Hulk. He could be the Hulk
Yeah.
person. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So like they could slide him in there, but I don't know.
Maybe they hopefully we'll see that they break others out of place to recruit others. Maybe Ursa Major is out there and Red Guardian's the one that tied to him to recruit him into the group, and he's that person. Maybe they have someone like Songbird who is the villain, and they have to go off and turn her or another Thunderbolt that we don't know about out there. But like Andy said though, that maybe this is the B team and the A team would turn bad. But this comment, they thought this is actually Zemo. Zemo could have gotten them to do things they wouldn't necessarily want to do. And maybe Zemo was on that first team along with Abomination and some other people we don't know about yet, or Bullseye or whoever. Another comment here says they have to have something up. What? This thing on screen. Click. They have to have something up their sleeve. And then another comment was, which is Thunderbolts, ex-heroes, or anti-heroes, ex-villains, etc. So some of these do make sense. John Walker's not really seen as a hero. Yelena's got a shady past. Taskmaster did bad things. Ghosts have done bad things. Bucky still feels weird here to me.
They all feel weird.
But he feels the weirdest though, because Bucky's already gone that arc, but the rest have not gone through that redemption arc yet.
Gotcha.
Maybe Bucky's supposed to be like their shepherd, like, oh, I went through this once.
Yes.
Now here's your road to redemption with Bucky, kind of type thing.
Yeah.
Like,
He won't want that. He won't want that either. That he won't want that responsibility to like you say, shepherd these people through that. You can see him roll in his eyes and kind of,
Stop the car.
Yeah. I'm done with this, but
I just don't see it. Bucky was on that path. I don't know, unless this is something completely different than what I'm thinking. I don't see it with this movie. And also Val too. Val could be, Red She-Hulk. That could be going that route. You said Ursa Major is out there still. We know Whiplash is dead, so I don't think we're getting anything related to Crimson Dynamo at all.
I mean, I guess this means that Bucky won't really appear in the new Captain America movie either.
I could see him, maybe, I don't know, because this Captain America comes out before this, right? Or after?
Yeah, right before.
So I wonder if Captain America will have some ties into it also, especially with the multiple Hulks type thing and the New World Order. And maybe with Captain America being New World Order, maybe this is what compels Bucky to get involved with the Thunderbolts from what happens in the events of New World Order. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally May the 3rd and then July the 26th.
Okay.
So
maybe a direct tie-in.
Yeah.
But I don't know. So, moving on though to just reaction thoughts to D23, Work by Night was the best for me. Secret Invasion looks great. New World Order sounds interesting. But disappointed by we didn't really get Phase 6 filled in. There was nothing about Phase 6, and you think that this was the time to say, hey, heroes, unless they're still figuring out the lineup. And then my final thought is that Thunderbolts is the least inspiring for me for now until I know more.
Yeah, agreed.
And I think we had this conversation on the group, and I think I was kind of like, I feel like I was kind of expecting that we would get more about the stuff that we already knew about, and like we wouldn't see like much about Phase 6, but I was really hoping that I was wrong on that one. And I was a little bit disappointed by this because like we saw a lot about stuff we already knew, and we saw like, people walk out for like actors like Charlie Cox, Vinny D, stuff like that. That was great. They fed us, but I feel like we would have gotten a little bit something different almost at the end of this.
Just thinking about next year. So San Diego Comic Con happens in June. Yeah, end of June. So looking at it, if that happens at the end of June next year, that's still a year and a half before Phase 6 will start. So that gives them plenty of time to have some pretty crazy announcements between CDCC next year and D23 next year, and gives them time to see what the response is to a lot of this stuff as well, I guess.
Yeah, I wonder if that's where we'll get Fantastic Four is either next year. My prediction was wrong. The only one I have for D23 was Fantastic Forecast, and I was wrong on that one. But maybe we'll get it at Comic-Con next year or D23 next year.
They have to be dragging that out for some reason. Like, like I feel like they either just don't have like a cast that they've really got ideally put together or something, but like I don't know. We've seen so many people rumored for that. So
you wonder if John Watts dropping out put a big hold on things, and letting Shackman get in, let him see. Okay, let's look at Watts' script. Do I want to change anything from Watts' script? Anything like that?
Yeah.
Once we kind of know that, then they'll start looking at people who they're gonna cast. The rumors are only gonna keep going. But hopefully at least they start maybe trickling things out. I don't know anything between now and Comic-Con where they could use that for. Or any kind of special announcement they could do. They have to be like a special announcement type thing, or just some big news blurb they're going to do. I don't see any kind of big events between now and Comic-Con next year. Do you?
No.
And Shackman worked on WandaVision, right?
He worked on WandaVision. He worked on It's Always Sunny. So there's been rumors around any of the people from Always Sunny coming over to beat any of the characters. How is WandaVision going to tie in the whole aerospace engineer thing? Which I think, I think the aerospace engineer in WandaVision is going to end up being someone tied to Blue Marvel more than to Reed Richards, in my opinion.
But you did get that interesting little like family dynamic between Tommy, Billy, Vision, and Wanda in that show. 4 people, so he does kind of have some experience with that kind of like Fantastic Four family kind of dynamic style that it should be.
Excuse me.
We were all wrong. Yes, we were.
Hey, like that big announcement, Dracula is going to be played by Denzel Washington, that whole thing. And yeah, I was like, huh?
Brilliant. Well, what an evening it has been. 2 episodes of She-Hulk in our previous episode, news from the last 2 weeks, and the entirety of D23, including Indiana Jones and Star Wars, all spoken about. So I think we've covered plenty of bases there. For you guys. So unless we've got any closing thoughts, we will reconvene this time next week to hopefully
episode 5.
Yeah, She-Hulk episode 5. Guys, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, Jaren, for this episode and all your updates for D23. Again, that was very useful. Have a good week, guys, and thanks very much for tuning in. See you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Why don't you tell them about the time we faced
All right. Well, as I remember,
at Avenger headquarters?